watching Rock Titan TV, featuring Thunder God Rick Allen of Def Leppard.
Alright, hey everybody, this is Scotty J. You're watching Rock Titan TV. I have an amazing guest with us today. He's one of the most celebrated musicians from one of the most celebrated bands of all time. What you may not know is that he's also a very accomplished artist. So I'm just going to turn things over right here and introduce you to who you know as the Thunder God himself of Def Leppard, Rick Allen.
Yes, the fifth Beatle.
Yeah. Mr. Allen, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Nice to see you.
It's great to see you. I appreciate your time because I know that you're running ragged doing all of your media cycles today with your art exhibit through Wentworth Galleries. How's everything been going so far?
No, it's good. It's good. Everybody's been very kind to me, and you know, we're doing the rounds, as you say. So hopefully, the next two shows are going to be really, really fun.
Right, right. So just so everybody knows, this Friday, January 13th, Rick is going to be at his art exhibit at Wentworth Galleries up there in New Jersey, and then January.
I think on Saturday.
Saturday, right? Is that the 13th? That's the 13th. Yeah, tomorrow.
I believe so.
Yep, Saturday the 13th.
Oh, Sunday is King of Prussia.
Sunday is King of Prussia.
Saturday is New Jersey.
Yeah. You know what? For a guy like you, I'm amazed you even know what day it is. Seriously, it's all got to seem like just one long day.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, so everyone watching right now, Saturday, January 13th, New Jersey at Wentworth Gallery. You'll be able to catch Rick Allen there with his art, Drums for Peace. And then January 14th on Sunday at the Wentworth Gallery in King of Prussia. So, yes. So I have to ask you, Rick. Obviously, everyone knows you as the drummer for Def Leppard. And again, they may not have known about your passion and your art skills as a painter and as a photographer. Obviously, I know at this point. But exactly how long have you been sharing that part of yourself with the public?
Well, the painting part of it, I started as a kid.
Right.
And I just got myself immersed in that and probably got more paint on me than anything else. But and then later on, I discovered music, probably around about 9 or 10 years old. And then when my youngest daughter was born, we started painting together.
Okay.
And that kind of reignited my passion for painting. And photography has kind of been a staple. From as far back as I could remember. My grandfather giving me a Brownie camera, and that's just been something that's been my friend for years. You know, I keep the camera with me all the time, and it just enables me to just capture the moment, you know, wherever I am, whatever country I am. So the photography just continues. That's something that has always kind of been there. But the painting it just takes me to the same place that I go when I play music. That sort of mindless, sort of in the moment place, and it's very therapeutic. I find it very therapeutic, especially you know, with the fact that I've got PTSD.
Okay, all right. Now I was going to ask you actually about the therapeutic nature of it. And the inspiration, because I know as a musician, a lot of things can happen very spontaneously. You know, you get a certain idea or something happens in your life and you're like, oh, I need to start creating something right away. Is it the same way with your art? Do you find that any of that comes spontaneously or is it more planned out?
The initial thing is always spontaneous. It's like, oh man, that would be so cool. It would be, you know, that's iconic, or there's a certain image that I see in my mind, or something that I capture with my camera, and then I'll start to plan out how I can create art with that. So a lot of what I do when I'm out and about on the road is planning, and then once I get back to, you know, to home base, then I'll start to work with either photography and mixed media or full paint, which is, you know, just full paint on canvas. Okay. So there's a few different ways I go with it.
All right, all right. I know I've heard some chatter about a Def Leppard tour in the summertime, potentially with Journey. I don't know, 60 U.S. dates. And I don't know. I think that the next album that you do, the album cover, it's got to be a Rick Allen original. What do you think?
Yeah, I know. I don't think that tour is going to happen.
No. Okay.
You know, but
I had to ask.
It's something that's been talked about, but I'm not sure anything's ever really been finalized. But I hope that you know, we'll get to hear something in the not too distant future.
Okay. Okay. Now, getting back to your art exhibit, I know that a number of your paintings have a very patriotic theme. There's been a lot of flags that you've done, like we have right here, you know, of the United States and Great Britain. And obviously, you know, you are a citizen of the UK, but you've spent much of your time in California. You lived over in the United States for a number of years. And I also know that you're involved with the Wounded Warriors Project. Is that something that kind of led to this patriotic theme of yours in your artwork? Or in which order, I guess, did that come? Or was it all just kind of at the same time?
Well, it's been a series of you know, the artwork really comes from my life experience, and you know, I moved over here in 1991,
right?
And I think the way that you know, my mind works is I try and help in any way I can wherever I am. So the thing that's really in front of me is being in America, and America giving me the freedom to express myself, whether that be with the music and obviously now with the art. And in meeting with Wounded Warriors, I've realized that they speak the same language as me.
Right.
You know, and I brought a lot of my experience of meditation, breathing, diet, equine-assisted therapy, you name it. You know, all these things I brought to the table. And then when I met up with the Warriors and we started talking about ways of managing PTSD, when I brought those things to the table, it really started to help other people. So the foundation really delves deeper and deeper into those alternative therapies. And like I say, it really helps people. And now it's become a wonderful two-way street where, you know, I share my ways of coping with PTSD and they share theirs.
Right. You know, and I'm glad you really touched on the PTSD part, you know, and especially with our soldiers. You know, just from like movies I've watched and stories that I've read, documentaries and such, I know that for our soldiers it can be particularly difficult when they've suffered, you know, intense losses, you know, on the field of battle, where they become amputees. And I know that, you know, for a lot of those soldiers where that's what they're used to, you know, like being very hands-on, having use of everything, perhaps, just perhaps, they may not feel quite as whole, no pun intended at all, once they have to go through all that. And then here you are, you know, you've been, you know, like I said, a very celebrated musician. The things that you've done on drums is just, you know, unbelievable. And then your painting and your photography and all these things that you've been able to do. Have you been, would you say that that has added your success in those areas? Would you say that that's added into kind of the therapeutic and healing factor when you're dealing with a lot of the soldiers?
Yes, my music has always been therapeutic for me, probably more so since I had my accident. And then getting back into painting again, actually painting with my youngest daughter, that was a great way for me and her to connect.
That's
and it
so cool.
also made me realize that being in the moment and either playing music or painting is a wonderful therapeutic thing for me. It really helps with the PTSD. Right. And that's one of the things I try and convey to our warriors. You know, find something, find a new passion, and it's been a really strong theme, and people really get that. Our warriors really get that. They get that it helps me. So you know, it's a way for them to help themselves.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I think is really cool, you know, we think about our legacy at times. You know, I know that for me, as a father and as a husband and things of that nature, you know, I think of, you know, what I'm going to have to leave behind. You know, and here we are in the year 2018, and we're still celebrating musicians and artists such as Beethoven and painters such as Da Vinci and things of that nature. Now, you, Rick Allen, you've got your music that's going to survive the test of time as well as your art. Do you ever think of that legacy and what it means to you personally, that piece of you that you've shared, that intimate piece of you is going to live on past your days?
The only time I've ever really thought about that is in terms of, you know, my family and how, you know, the things that I leave behind are going to impact them. You know, I guess through my life experience, I've realized that, you know, I want to leave a better world for people. And whether that's the music or the art, I think that is something that's really positive.
Right.
And you know, and that's always my intention, is to leave people feeling good with a smile on their face, or at least thinking about ways that they can improve, you know, this world that we live in.
Right. Yeah, that is a wonderful thought. And one of the things that I want to take a little bit further with that, when you're painting and when you're doing your photography as an artist, you know, you're capturing that moment in time, you know, that lives on forever. And I know that a number of your pieces, while there's some common themes there, there's the Legends piece that you're starting up as well. And of course, you had a very particular piece that you started out with on the Legends side of things with Steve. And so do you see that being something that you're going to be moving forward with in terms of capturing a number of the artists that you've played with over the years?
Well, as you know, the last couple of 3 years, we've lost a lot of, it seems as though we've lost a lot of, you know, incredible musicians.
Right.
And I thought, what better way to celebrate, you know, some of the people that we've lost than start with somebody that I dearly loved. And that was Steve Clark, of course.
Sure, yeah. And
as I was working through the piece, I realized it was a wonderful way for me to show my love for Steve and really, you know, embrace that sort of gratitude for having known him. And I sent my mother a picture of the piece, a photograph of the piece, and she took it to show Steve Clark's family. And she said it was wonderful because she showed, you know, she showed Beryl a picture of the piece. Actually, I think she made a print, and she said Beryl just sat there with, you know, a couple of tears rolling down her cheeks, just, you know, just loving the piece. So
sure.
I must have captured something. You know, just studying his face like that was such a, it's kind of like a spiritual journey. And for his mother, of all people, to pick up on that and really, really get my appreciation for her son, that just made the whole thing worthwhile. So I think that's going to be the first of many.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, I hope so. I mean, it was really cool. I mean, it kind of reminded me a little bit of like a Leroy Neiman almost. Obviously, your style of art is very different, but with like Leroy Neiman, how he, you know, has his own style of capturing various people, events, and things of that nature. I thought that was really cool. Now,
no, me too, and that was the whole idea. You know,
okay.
Kind of trying to create. You know, I can't do realism, but I can do, you know, that sort of that pop art and you know, the way that I put the thing together. I'm not schooled at all, but I do have a teacher. I have an art teacher that really helps me.
Okay.
And that was one of the themes that we started doing was pop art and using negative space and how I can turn, you know, sort of geometric shapes into faces.
Okay.
And that's basically how I came up with the piece.
All right, very interesting. Now, in terms of your photography and your painting, is there any overlap there? Have you
always? Always. Like I say, you know, planning out an inspiration. You know, just taking pictures on any given day. You know, different locations that I find myself in, different countries.
Okay.
and I'll take that inspiration, normally in the form of a photograph, and then I'll start to figure out how I can create art out of that, whether that's a mixed media piece or whether I create, a full original, full paint, kind of like the Steve Clark piece.
Right.
But it all depends. Sometimes sometimes it's photograph, sometimes it's a combination of photograph and paint, and then other times it's full paint.
Okay.
So it really depends on, what the piece wants to be.
Very cool. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't also bring up your jewelry design expertise. Are you rocking any of that jewelry right now?
Yeah. I'm trying to get it.
We got see some. Is that it right there? Your necklace?
Yeah, that's one.
The pendant right there. Okay.
Yeah, that's it's difficult. So I'm trying to hold on.
Yeah,
to
no.
the
You're doing great. You're doing great. You're doing absolutely great. So
talented, but not that talented.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. That's very cool. No, I want to be sensitive to your time because I know you're making your media rounds right now, and I can't thank you enough for the time you've given us on Rock Titan TV, Rick. This has been absolutely amazing. So again, this weekend, Saturday, January 13th, you're up there in New Jersey at Wentworth Gallery, and then Sunday, January 14th, you are in King of Prussia, just outside Philadelphia at the Wentworth Gallery as well. So is all of your art, all of your paintings, your pictures, and jewelry going to be on display?
I think what they do is, if I'm doing a show, they try and fill up the galleries with all the pieces that they can find from all the other galleries that they have.
Okay.
So, so they concentrate on those two galleries where I'm actually having the art show. So it looks really impressive because they totally fill the gallery with all of my pieces and nobody else's pieces. So I feel very special.
Well, it's your moment. About how many pieces are there?
I'd say right now there's probably somewhere in the region of about maybe 70, 75 different designs or different takes on the same theme. Okay. So it's getting quite extensive.
Yeah. Now, for your fans and everyone that don't have the opportunity to get out to the Wentworth Gallery, how can people go out and purchase your amazing works of art?
Well, that's a really good question. I'm sure people can go to Wentworth Gallery -art. I think that's a way to get to see it. Yeah, wentworthgallery.com or rickallen.com.
Okay.
People can go there and view the stuff. But what I would suggest is a well-placed phone call, probably to one of the galleries in Florida, because their head office is down in Miami, and all the main people that I deal with are all based in the Miami area. So I think that's probably a good way to get the ball rolling, so that people can find out how they can access the art and how they can, potentially buy a piece.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll make sure that we share that information with everyone. In the course of this interview, I'll make sure that, we got our lower thirds in there so everyone can see where to do this. But again, Rick Allen from Def Leppard, painter, photographer, jewelry designer, humanitarian. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's been an honor.
It's very kind of you. Thank you. And thank you for the interview.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rick.
All right.